Welcome to the all-new Marvel Roundup, the Southgate Media Group guide to the Marvel Comics of the week. As always, I am Phil Parrish, and joining me is...
Charlie Esser.
Alright, we will jump right in. Since I have a bunch to start with, I guess I'll start with all my female-led books. I'll start with Captain Marvel number 3.
Yay!
Something's wrong with the old Captain. Her powers are coming in and out. She passed out at the end of the last issue, and she's having hallucinations. She's like hallucinating. She's on a battlefield wearing a Kree soldier's uniform. But then she wakes up. They're trying to figure out what's going on because they said the one tech on her team, Kowalski, is a traitor who was sabotaging stuff, but she's claiming her innocence. And the alien vessel they discovered is basically, I guess it's part organic because it's like growing into the station. And all of a sudden Captain Marvel's trying to pull some sabotage until they knock her out, which shouldn't be possible, but her powers are in flux. She wakes up, Brand tells her what's going on. So, I guess the inside mole is Captain Marvel for some reason, but
Now, is the ship a Kree ship?
I'm assuming. I don't think they've specifically given us the complete origin of it.
Yeah, because there's a lot of weird stuff with the Kree tech where it is based on this sort of wish. It's sort of like Green Lantern tech, where it's like, I wish this, and so it is. It's based on this idea of quantum observation, and like if you observe something, it becomes real. They do a lot of this with the Young Avengers and Novar, where they constantly make the joke about we're in a ship that runs on wishes. But of course, that's what the psychomagnetron was, is it takes your psychic energy and magnifies it so that what you perceive becomes reality, and that is the actual origin of Carol's power. So it's possible that she's being influenced by some residual psychic energy left from Captain Marvel.
Oh, well, that's the funny thing, because later on she goes back into her hallucination, but like, I guess Sasquatch has her hooked up to something where she's kind of like having a waking dream. And in the hallucination, you remember, she's wearing a Kree uniform. She looks at a reflection, but it's not her. It's Marvel.
Yes, I did browse this in the store. This was really close to getting picked up because I only had the 3 books from Marvel this week.
But so she hallucinated something from memory of Marvel's from before he came to Earth, and I guess whatever's affecting Captain Marvel, it's amplifying the Kree part of her DNA. So that's why all her abilities are weird and But like I said, the ship's growing into the station, so they're going to jettison part of the station, get rid of it. But a second vessel shows up at the end, and it's sending out a signal, and they can't decipher it, but only Captain Marvel can. But she says this message is saying "Death to Hala, Death to Hala."
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but it's heading towards Earth, so I don't know what's going on.
Well, there's so many Kree on Earth, so much leftover Kree technology. just ask the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They're dealing with Kree technology leftover all the time.
But it was a good issue. Yeah, I mean, if you would have picked it up, I don't think you would have regretted it. It was a thumbs up for me.
No, I'm sure I wouldn't have. To be honest with you, it's like I was looking at this, I was looking at Spider-Woman, and I was so tempted with both of them, and all these books. I'm like, but you know what? If I get this, now I've got another book, and they put them on a light week this week, but next month, it's not like it's always 1 month. Sometimes it's like that 3-week thing, or that, and then all of a sudden, oh no, now it's out when all your other books are out, and it's like, And then it's like, but I want to follow, but I can't. It's hard, man. It's hard out there for comic book, enjoyer.
Oh yeah. But
too much good work. It's too much good work out there.
Oh yeah. Speaking of which, I'll get into my next 2, which go together because I got Scarlet Witch 3 and 4 because 4 was out this week, but I hadn't picked up 3, so I can't have that gap. I had 1 and 2, so.
So, like, they leave the 3 on the shelf at your store, or did you have to go into the long box to get the 3?
No, it's on the shelf. He usually has, unless it's sold out, he usually has, like, at least a couple months worth on the shelf.
Oh, so he's not technically supposed to do that.
Well, he has one main shelf where he puts, like, the, that week's books, but then there's, like, other shelves where...
Yeah. So yeah, okay. No, that's cool. I'm not sure. I just know a lot of other places. Well, of course, you're out in the Midwest, man. Now here in New York, you got shelf is a premium, what? Man. You're in the Midwest.
In Pennsylvania, that's not Midwest. To you, it is, but technically, it's not Midwest.
Let me put it to you this way: I grew up in Michigan. Okay, so I know the Midwest. You're like in the Pittsburgh area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what we call Ohio. That's what we call like fancy Ohio. Michigan. Don't get us wrong. You're like the big city for like if we say we're heading east, we're going to Pittsburgh. That's like and by the way, Pittsburgh like one of the most beautiful cities I've ever seen. The architecture in Pittsburgh, it is just amazing. But you're basically the last vestige of the East Coast as you enter into the Midwest. So but you have more space, and that's the thing. Like Jersey, it's very thin. Everyone's crowded on top of each other. Mm-hmm. You don't get a lot of space. So if you have, and don't even get me started. In New York, I think you like comic books stand on the shelf for a week and then they're out. If you didn't get it on a Wednesday, buddy, I'm sorry. You better hope that was something that made the long boxes.
All right, so Scarlet Witch number 3 that I picked up in my little rinky-dink comic shop because I'm not one of these sophisticated New Yorkers.
Well, no, what I'm saying it's not rinky-dink. It's probably huge. You just have all this shelf space where you can have these old comics just sitting there. It's like, oh, that Fantastic Four number 4, no one ever picked it up. It's still on the shelf. Go get it.
No, it's not a big store, but he does a lot with the space he has, and
I'm just picking.
I know. All right, but
see, my guy, like as soon as it's done, it's in the long box, and it's like, no, that's a full price book now. That's no discounts for you, sir.
Oh, well, this was full price, no discount. But
you don't get a 10% discount when you buy it?
No, I do get a discount. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If it's still on the shelf, you get that little I'm a regular discount, and then but once it's in a long box, then you're paying for the bag and the board, so .
But no, I spend enough money there. He kind of helps me out.
Yeah. No, my guy does that for me too.
All right.
Okay. Enough of the business of comic books. So you read a book about Scarlet Witch, eh?
Yeah, Scarlet Witch number 3. It starts off in Nigeria with the Emerald Warlock killing some fellow. We don't know why yet, but well, no, we kind of do. He says he's the last descendant of some family that, like, I guess must have wronged the Emerald Warlock. So.
Just, do we know, is the Emerald Warlock a guy before this series, or is he, like, new?
Well, I know he showed up in that Uncanny Avengers annual before that. I'm not familiar with him, so.
Yeah. That's this great thing you can do nowadays where you can, but that's the weird thing. Like sometimes it is an actual Golden Age character who had like 2 issues, like Mastermind Excello. He had like 2 stories. Mm-hmm. But he existed in the Golden Age, so when they bring him to the modern age or they tie him into the Amadeus Cho thing, there actually is this real history. But then every so often they'll make up another guy who's like, no, he didn't actually exist then, but, we're just going to say he existed, Yeah. Like a Peggy Carter. Mm-hmm. There's no Peggy Carter. It was Betsy Ross. That was Cat's one love for that week.
All right, so anyway, then next we see Wanda. She lands at the airport in Ireland, in Dublin. I like the look they're giving her here. She's like wearing like a black dress and black boots, but she has like the red like the long red coat. Mm-hmm. So it's reminiscent of her outfit, but it actually looks like real clothing.
Does she have like a headband at least, or no?
No.
Or is her hair just free? Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, just the hair's down. Yeah, nothing on her head.
Okay, that's cool.
And I guess since Agatha Harkness gets bored just hanging around the apartment, she came with her.
You're a ghost. What else are you going to do? Yeah.
Well, she says, what was I going to do otherwise? Float around your apartment and terrorize the cleaner?
I like Agatha. I'm glad she's back.
Yeah, and because, well, Wanda's telling her she came to Ireland because, there's broken witchcraft here because anything derived from the land is failing. All the fields have gone fallow. All the mines suddenly have lethal gas that no pumps can pump out. Cattle are dying. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. But then we see, I guess, the Emerald Warlock's tailing her. So, Wanda has the cab take her to a field, and
now I'm sorry.
No.
Have they said why the Emerald Warlock has a hate on for Wanda, or is that that's to be revealed later?
It's kind of revealed a little later. I think they go into a little bit in 4, but Wanda goes to this pub, and the guy's like, "Oh, I know." The owner's like, "Oh, I know who you are," and trouble only follows you. She's like, "No, but I'm here to help the country," and there's another old guy there. He's a customer. He's like, "Oh no." He's like, she's an Avenger and all this and yada yada. And she's like, "Oh, I recognize you, Miss Maximoff." And he talks to the bartender and let her do her thing. So basically, I guess she finds these ghosts on horseback and basically doing mystical battle with them. She's casting spell. Yeah, there's a page. Basically blows up the pub. It's gone. So the bartender was right to be nervous. And then Agatha's like, who's behind this? And Wanda said she can find out by walking the witch's road when she can open a portal. And Agatha's like, why? I couldn't. Agatha said she couldn't go there by herself, but if Wanda opens the way, she can go with her. So she opens up this mystical vortex, goes into this other dimension where I guess time has no meaning because Wanda, on the last page, runs into a figure. She introduces herself. She's like, "I'm Wanda," and the other figure says, "And I'm known by many names, most notably the Scarlet Witch."
Interesting.
Which I can explain right now because I have the next issue in my hands.
Hooray!
Scarlet Witch number 4, so where it picks up, because the other figure's saying, do I know you? You look familiar. And I guess I was telling Wanda to be careful what she says, because since time has no meaning here, this Scarlet Witch is Wanda's mother. She says her name her name is Natalia Maximoff.
Ah, interesting. Wait. Okay, yeah, because husband's name. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but she was a Scarlet Witch at that point? Mm.
Yeah, I guess, as Agatha explains later, I guess that Scarlet Witch thing runs in the family. The mother, and I guess the grandmother must have been a Scarlet Witch.
So that's why Emerald Warlock's upset, because it's like this family thing. I'm guessing.
But the world's never heard of the mother before, because she's saying she operates from the shadows and stuff, and...
Well, she is a witch,
Yeah. But then this big demony creature comes out and they battle it and banish it. And then all of a sudden, her mother starts fading out. But right before she fades out, the mother's like, "Oh," she's like, "I see it now." She's like, "I sense who you are finally." She's like, "Although in my time I have met no man, you're yet to even be born." As she's fading out.
Then why is her last name Maximoff?
I don't know, unless she didn't give the father's name.
Marvel.
Because, because after she fades
she's
out...
liberated, because technically, since this is Wanda now, she's only 40, so she was born in the 70s. Well, she's probably 30, so she was born in the 80s. So her mom's a feminist baby boomer, so she didn't take her husband's name. There we go. I solved your problem, Marvel. Thank you. I expect my no prize next week.
But so Wanda's like, she called herself the Scarlet Witch, and Agatha's like, "Did you think you were the first?" And Wanda's like, "Honestly, I never thought of it." She's like, "It came into my mind fully formed the moment I realized my powers. I knew I was the Scarlet Witch."
They're just totally non-mutanting her now.
Oh yeah, that's why they're keeping the Maximoff name, because they're keeping that father pretty secret.
Yeah, well, yeah, because she was evolved by the High Evolutionary and just looks like a mutant, which is Wolverine's origin. Hey, we all remember that when he was a hyper evolved Wolverine. Good times, good times.
But so then they run into Declan Dane, the Emerald Warlock, and he was the old guy at the bar, convincing the bartender to let her do her thing, because I guess he wanted to get to the Witch's Road.
Wait, so what? But that was old Declan Dane. Like now that he's the old Emerald Warlock from the 1940s.
Well,
or was he using a glamour or?
Yeah, he was using some kind of spell or glamour, because then he assumes his true form here. So we kind of get his origin. He's saying how they're asking him why Ireland, and he says him and his mother was basically she captured her, exiled. Oh wait, she was defeated by mages, and then him and his siblings were sent to America. The mother died of a broken heart. And then the Emerald Warlock killed his brothers and took their powers. And he wants to make Ireland. Well, I guess the whole thing is he wants to make Ireland pay. But he couldn't do anything until all the bloodlines of the people, I guess, who imprisoned his mother were done. So that's why he was going around killing all the bloodlines. He said that, but the last guy dying, that gave me Ireland. I don't know. It was kind of hard to follow. I'm looking at this now because he has such like a thick Irish accent.
Yes.
But basically, he's powerful, but he's draining all the energy out of Ireland because he wants more power, of course. And
just like Whitney Frost.
Yeah, one is trying to tell him it was the wizards, it wasn't Ireland, and he's like, no, it was all of it. They made me angry.
And they wouldn't like him when he's angry.
But he's telling her, yeah, I see that your powers are taking years off your life and stuff. And he's like, the cost of... And he's like, you'll be dead soon. If that is Ireland, then I'll be stronger. She's like, yeah, you're right. The cost of using my powers, my destiny is to die young, but not today. Yeah, because she was kind of looking old, and now she looks young again. But Wanda tricked him. She was letting him do his thing.
Got him monologuing.
Because she was like, he basically walked her down a path in this witch's thing where he thought he was going to steal her powers, but basically she's taking his powers. Because she was like, it was me taking your powers. It was all an illusion. And of course he's like, no, I won't be denied. I'm the Emerald Warlock. And tries to zap her with some kind of spell, but she's still standing, and she says, and I am the Scarlet Witch.
There you go.
So basically he's like, oh, not a scratch on you. And as he's doing his fade out, he's like, one thing I did notice, all these years you've been in the world, you've never had someone you'd call an arch enemy. He's like, well, now you do. As he disappears.
Yay. Just like me and Lilith.
So then Wanda and Agatha are back at the airport at the end, and basically something's still up because they're looking out the window at the airport, and the sky is just filled with, I guess those are crows, but there's just like, they're so far away, but can't tell really what they are, but there's a ton of birds.
See, I was waiting for Agatha to like betray her in this, but okay.
No. I think Agatha is just like the wisecracking sidekick.
Oh, there you go.
But Scarlet Witch 3 and 4 really good. Both thumbs up. I wish there weren't so many darn books. I mean, this would definitely be on my list.
Okay, and now it's my turn to do one. Yay! Squadron Supreme, number 5, and this is a fun book. Things I like about this book. Okay, so one thing, Nighthawk, definitely definitely an African American hero. So, yay, one more African American hero. Black Batman.
Well, yeah, Isn't that the version from the Supreme Power universe or whatever?
Oh, was he African American in Supreme Powers?
Yes.
Oh, see, I did not know that. I didn't read that series, so
Okay.
I only read like the follow-up series, which followed Hyperion in that. And then also, I think I read the follow-up series that had Dr. Spectrum from that universe, and it gets crazy. Anyway, so Nighthawk and Blur and Tyndall are being held prisoner by the Crystal Warriors. It's from Blur's perspective, and he's saying about how he and Nighthawk bonded because Nighthawk is like normal, and Blur is from the new universe, which was normal for the most part, and only just recently got superheroes. So he's like one of the first, and so he could he felt more comfortable with Blur than everyone that was like, "Oh, I'm from Superpower Land and everything's magical and crazy," and so Nighthawk signaling him what to do. They break out and they make this hypersonic sound, which shatters the Crystal Warriors. To which Tyndall goes, "Oh my goodness, you're killing these people. That's wrong. These are heroes. They're just mind controlled. What is wrong with you?" Which really, hangs the lampshade right on the fact that Nighthawk, you're evil. Okay, I know you say you're a good guy, but you're evil. You're kind of that Sinestro character, for which you can hear me rant about on World's Finest this week, or some week when it gets posted. You're a guy who just wants to control things, and that comes back later. Meanwhile, we cut from that to Skull the Slayer, Thundra, and Hyperion chatting. Skull's basically saying, "Yeah, I'm a tough guy and I fight these things, and I liked this place before Druid took it over, and now it's all crazy." And then who should appear but Dr. Spectrum? Basically, her powers are magical in origin in this universe, or in her universe, which sort of is a throwback to classic Green Lanterns. Scott Ladd, Alan Scott, that's the one name. Because it was supposed to be Alan Ladd, and then made it Alan Scott. That's right. I remember the story now. But Alan Scott, because the original, it was a magical device. Because superheroes used to be a lot more comfortable with being magical, until they had it has to have a science explanation. Anyway, so basically the magical energies overloaded the crystal, which caused her to basically be shattered. But then when she was shattered, she sort of got an understanding of this whole world, and now she's back and super powered. Hyperion says, "Yeah, I don't know why my powers don't work." And she says, "Well, have you ever fought a magical being before?" And he says, "No." And he says, "Well, guess what? You're vulnerable to magic." He says, "Oh, well, good to know. I guess I had to be vulnerable to something." And she puts a little aura of magic around him to keep the magic away, so he's all powered again. And they get ready to go fight Druid. Meanwhile, Tyndall is like crying, like saying, Stop killing the Crystal Warriors. These are good, heroic people. What are you doing?" And you can see that Blur's like, "Yeah, this is kind of messed up." And Nighthawk's saying, "No, we agreed that collateral damage was necessary." It's like, you're crazy, Nighthawk. And then, of course, not Thundra, but Warrior Woman comes back, Power Princess, and basically they get into a whole conversation about how, her and Nighthawk are a lot alike. Nighthawk just wants to control things. Meanwhile, Druid is being all evil and broody and watching things. Mordred says, we agreed to a price. He gives him the Eye of Zot. Okay, here's a magical MacGuffin. Thank you for your service. Then Thundra and the heroes show up. Oh, by the way, one of my favorite lines in this, just to jump back a bit, was Dr. Spectrum asks Skull what his power is, and he says, "I brook no nonsense from man or goblin." Fair enough. Dr. Spectrum says so that's why we all love Skull the Slayer. So they attack. They fight off the Magma Men. Dr. Spectrum and Hyperion are coming in. Hyperion gets attacked by Archon, and then Hyperion and Archon Dr. Spectrum weakens the magical crystal that has everyone mind controlled. Then Archon and Hyperion fly towards it because Archon basically smashes both their heads through the crystal, which frees everybody from its magical powers, freeing the city. The Crystal Warriors apparently are okay with having a bunch of their people being murdered by Nighthawk because they're just glad to be free. Thundra decides to... Warrior Woman disappeared into Weird World. Thundra decides to return with our Squadron Supreme. And then we see Dr. Druid basically saying, "This was my plan all along, that I expected heroes to come here. I wanted the heroes to destroy me because once the heroes left back to their world, I could find a way back to my world too." Bum, bum, bum. Thumbs up for Squadron Supreme. Really enjoyed it. Fun book, good book. I really like the Squadron. I'm glad Thundra's on it. She's one of my favorite characters from some classic Marvel. And I'm really loving Blur. I'm liking Blur sort of dealing with the fact that he's from the new universe and now he's in the crazy universe. And, the villainy of Nighthawk is going to be interesting how it comes out, especially compared to the red Boy Scoutness of Hyperion. So it's going to be an exciting world going forward. Looking forward to it.
Good.
So what are your next three, Phil?
Well, mostly group books. I will start with Extraordinary X-Men number 8.
Yay!
It says X-Men Apocalypse Wars on it, so I'm assuming this is the first part of X-Men Apocalypse Wars, even though I don't see a part 1 anywhere in here. But
So wait, are they doing another thing where they're going to do a mutant event book and a regular universe event book again? I thought they stopped doing that. I thought everyone was being friends again.
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing here, but it opens up with Storm. She's basically reviewing current events in her head about how X-Haven's growing, and they rescue. They bring in more mutant refugees every day, and Colossus is training the new students. But she's like, "Why don't I feel like things are getting any better?" And then Old Man Logan comes in, and basically he's like, you can talk to me, and what's going on, and basically they're sitting on a desk, and all of a sudden he's holding her hand, Charlie.
Well, they always had a weird relationship-y thing going on. There was always some...
Yeah.
I don't know if they ever consummated it, but there was always sexual tension, which they explored later in other versions of it, like the 92 cartoon.
Yeah, well, I think they were kind of dating too, regular Wolverine before he died. But, yeah, so, jeez, for an old man, his libido is going... I swear, we're always like, no, she's too young for you. They're all too young for him.
Well, here's what I'll say. At least Storm's a grown-up lady.
Yeah.
She was queen of a freaking country. At that point, once you're in your late 30s or early 30s even, late 20s even, we're going to say, okay, you're grown up enough to make these... when he's dating someone who has a 1 in their age at the front, then it's like, sweetheart, no.
But they get interrupted when Forge walks in and says, Cerebra just located a lot of new mutants. A lot of new mutants. So, once again, they do this every couple of years. I guess no new mutants were being born, but Cerebra says 600 new mutant signatures suddenly appeared in Tokyo.
Yeah, well, because that's what happens with this thing. Because they realized that when they created the exponential idea of mutants, that eventually you had too many mutants, and so you have to cull the herd, as Apocalypse would say.
So they set it up. So I guess Colossus is taking the kids to figure out what's going on. So Cerebra transports them to Tokyo, and she transports them to like I guess it's an abandoned warehouse or something, and Colossus is like, this is the location of the first mutant, and then Cerebra's like, no, this is where all 600 mutant signatures are coming from. So Colossus rips open the door.
That's not good.
Yeah, it's a lab, but I know what you're thinking, Charlie. It's not Mr. Sinister.
Who is it?
It's the Sugar Man.
The who now what?
He's from the Age of Apocalypse timeline. He jumped over here years ago. You know the dude, he's basically, most of him is like a big head. He almost looks like MODOK without the chair and like a big tongue.
Okie dokie then.
Yeah, so
okay. Yeah, Marvel.
But yeah, so they start attacking him, and Cerebra tells Colossus that all 600 mutant signatures are coming from a globe in the lab, and Sugar Man's like, that's my arc, and Colossus is like, Arc, what have you done, Sugar Man? He's like, 600 perfect mutant embryos. I genetically engineered them in total isolation from the Terrigen Plague. And he says, activating the machine must have affected the shield, so that's how they were able to scan them.
You know, not for nothing, if you're engineering them, they're not really mutants, because they're just what their genetic signature was created to be. It's not a mutation. It's something that you put into it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's Stan Lee science. I understand.
But Colossus is like, we need to shut down these machines, and they send out the distress call for the rest of the team, who magic transports in the rest of the team. Storm tells everyone to subdue the monster. And then I guess Old Man Logan tells Sugar Man, he goes, you should wash your mouth out with soap. He's like, second thought, I got a better idea, as he chops his tongue in half.
Okay.
But, yeah, and then I guess Sugar Man transports the embryos somewhere, but even if he wanted to talk, he's kind of having trouble talking with his tongue cut in half. But so they have Jean go in his mind and try to find them, and she goes, ew, his mind is so gross. He sent them into the future.
Sure.
Yeah. But they're able to, I guess, use his machine to send most of them into the... Magic stays behind. I think most of them go into the future. Where are they? I think... Yes, 1,000 years in the future. But I guess Colossus and the kids
random.
were... Yeah. Well, Colossus and the kids were ahead of them, so this time it's like Old Man Logan, Jean, Nightcrawler, Storm, Iceman follow them. But they find the kids, and they're like, they're talking about how they've been trying to keep the Ark safe, and they're like, we don't understand. It's only been a few minutes, and they're like, we've been here a lot longer than a few minutes. Because I think some of the kids have grown, so I don't know if they've been there for years.
So wait, so Colossus and them went 1,000 years in the future?
Yeah, I guess. Well, they all did, but Colossus and the kids were they transported into the future a couple minutes before them, but I guess years have passed.
You X-Men and your time travel.
Yeah, but
didn't someone make a point about that recently? It's like, oh, you X-Men are always traveling in time. I forget what book that was, but it's like, really X-Men time travel again.
But then they get attacked.
Did we just break the timeline?
Wait, it gets better. Then they get attacked at the end of the story by someone in a hood who says, "To me, my horseman." It looks like Colossus. So I don't know if Apocalypse is in there somewhere, but his horsemen look like I don't know if that's Venom or if it's just a symbiote, but it just looks like a black blob with a bunch of like big teeth.
Okay.
And his other horsemen look like, well, it looks like someone in a Moon Knight outfit, but I don't think it's the original Moon Knight because it looks pretty thin. It might even be a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's a mutant book. So who's his last horseman, Charlie?
Wolverine.
Deadpool.
Yeah. So he's only got 3 horsemen?
That's what it looks like, yeah.
Okay.
Unless he's still recruiting, yeah, I don't know. But But then we got a little
They have a good
backup.
dental plan, I hear.
No. But then we get a little backup story. Magic taking Sapna, like the other kid. It looked like she had some like magical powers. So she, of course, who did she take him to see? Doctor Strange.
Yeah, Doctor Strange. So if he's not busy enough, I'm sorry, Magic's dying. Can I get back to that?
I don't know, because when they show up, he comes to the door carrying his axe that looks like it's kind of bloody, and his outfit's kind of ripped. He's like, because they're like, oh, she's like, you did remember our appointment. He's like, oh yeah, just settling a little quarrel in the underdimensions between a group of spectral cannibal trolls and the Kurashu tribes. Nasty business, but all settled now.
Yeah, there you go. All better.
But so. And then they basically say, remember how X-Haven's in limbo?
Yeah.
Well, I guess in one of the panels, because they're talking about it, Magic thanks them for helping them. I guess they got a group together. It was Doctor Strange, Magic, Brother Voodoo, Shaman, and Scarlet Witch, and they must have been the ones that transport the Jean Grey school to limbo.
Well, that's good of them.
But he does like a detection spell on Sapna to see, if her powers are magical, and he's like, it seems your mutation isn't magical at all, but linguistic in nature, the ability to absorb, translate, and fully understand the languages of anything and anyone around you.
Oh, she's Cypher.
Yeah, exactly, but she's like, I don't get it. She's like, I don't get it. And Magic's like, well, at their essence, all magic and all spells are just a language, Sapna, and your power manifested while you were in limbo. So, and Doctor Strange says, so you absorbed all the magical knowledge around you, which in a mystical dimension like Limbo's case is extremely vast. And so Sapna's like, so like if my power had manifested while I was in math class, I would have gotten really smart at math instead of magic.
Basically.
Yeah, that's what Doctor Strange said. But I guess they're saying her body's processing all the magical information she took in, but right now she's at her saturation point. Then they get attacked by some kind of weird portal opens up and get attacked by some weird, I don't know, starfish or squid-looking thing.
It's Starro!
No, that's what I always thought, yeah. But I guess the Magic thinks it was coming after. Well, they finally they banish it, and Magic thinks it was coming after Sapna, and Doctor Strange is like, I don't think you understand. It wasn't coming after her. It was coming after you, Magic. Dun, dun, dun.
Bum, bum, bum.
To be continued, but good story, of course. Got the X-Men time travel. Thumbs up.
Yay!
And to
Yay,
X-Men. And speaking of X-Men, I'll jump to all new X-Men number 6.
Yay! X-Men number 6.
Yeah. So if you remember where that picked up, the kids are fighting the Blob.
He drips and he slips and he glides and slides.
And Iddy is having a crisis of faith. I believe she's a Catholic, but I don't know. She's having issues. But she does keep the Blob from taking out the church.
Yay!
Then Cyclops wakes up. I guess he was knocked out, but then he gets hit by a car, driven by none other than the Toad.
Toad. What's he doing these days?
Well, he's kidnapping Cyclops right now.
Now, is he tall, handsome Toad, or is he back to being short, stoopy Toad?
No, he's short, long hair, green skin.
Oh, he's green now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think you mentioned that earlier. We had a whole conversation about that a month or two ago about Toad, I think.
Yeah, probably last issue. But, so the battle's going on with the Blob, and the Blob's basically telling Beast, he's like, you don't have a chance against me. You're not, you don't got the blue fur, the claw, the fangs or anything. He's like, you're just a big-footed baby face who's no match at all. And, so then the Beast's thinking to himself, is he right? He's like, the other Hank McCoy, lived some kind of life in the intervening years, and he's like, no wonder my science feels so antiquated, my ideas so stale, I'm so far behind the curve. I didn't even notice there'd be a turn coming up. He's like, am I doomed to live a life of wasted potential? My supposedly brilliant mind routinely outpaced by cell phone applications and handheld gadgetry designed for children. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, no, it is very interesting. Although I'm just sitting there going, "Oh, poor pitiful Hank McCoy." And actually, I like Hank when he actually looks human. I've never understood the obsession with the blue fur Hank. I think he's kind of cooler when he's smart Hank. Although, interestingly enough, there was a whole thing not too long ago in Comic Book Resources about how when they first wrote the Beast, he actually was kind of the big dumb guy. He kind of talked like the Thing, but then he started getting all intellectualized. Of course, I had pointed out in the responses that that the Thing actually had a master's degree, and someone had pointed out that Reed had actually teased the Thing about how he always talks dumb, but he actually has a master's degree in the old books. But yeah, it's hard when you're a smart guy who looks like a big beast.
Yeah. So, then meanwhile, all new Wolverine, Laura's running to join the battle, and she's not too happy that Angel broke up with her, and she's like, give me a bullet to the face next time, boyfriend. At least I know how to heal from that. Then as Blob's about to finish Itty off, Angel comes flying in. I guess he has, like, flaming wings now. I think he's had those since, they had that crossover with Guardians of the Galaxy, and they, his powers got souped up in that,
and that magical black vortex.
Thing, yeah.
Yes. The MacGuffinatron.
Exactly, yeah. So now he has, like, flaming wings. So he didn't want to attack the Blob before, but he's all attacking him now.
Okay.
Yeah, because when it came swooping in, the Blob finally gets a hold of him and throws him to the ground. But Angel grabs some rebar that was laying on the ground, debris from the battle, and stabs Blob in the eye.
Oh, he doesn't have a healing factor.
No.
So now I got to deal with eye patch Blob from now on.
Maybe I don't know, but yes. And then Angel goes flying up, and he comes swooping back down with his flame wings. And I don't know what he did, but he seems to knock the Blob out. Okay, although isn't the Blob supposed to be invulnerable?
Well, again, the Angel's the one who first defeated the Blob by lifting him. Because once his feet aren't on the ground, he doesn't have his whole power set. It's like these people don't even read the comics.
And the only factor I can think that maybe why the wings took him out is maybe because they're, like, somewhat cosmic in nature, or at least the source of their power came from something cosmic.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, there's a reason I don't read mutant books. It's like, you start off with just the idea that, we don't actually have to have a reason everyone has powers. They're just born with them. And it just leads to lazy writing, Because, it doesn't have to be consistent. It doesn't even have to make sense. We can travel through time and have Phoenix forces just shooting out of everyone's whatevers. And, if you're not going to have, like, a reason to start the book, where you going with it? That's all I'm saying.
Even the Grey Hulk back in the day knew how to get the Blob off the ground. Come on.
Yeah, you gotta just lift him up. He's not that heavy, for goodness sakes. He's like 300 pounds, 500 pounds, but
back in the day, the Grey Hulk just, like, grabbed at his like gut and just started pulling.
Yeah, I remember that. She says, "Hey, my powers don't work like that."
I know, he basically just, like, pulled him off the ground and then just, like, smacked him in the air, and he just started punching him while he was off the ground. But
exactly. But what I'm saying is, what's bothersome about that is the Angel should know that, because that's his story. It's this Angel who did that.
Yeah. But we get the cleanup, and then Evan shows up and tells everyone that Cyclops got kidnapped. Then on the last page, we see Toad has young Cyclops tied up in the catacombs under Paris. Talking about life and death. So, It was alright. I still give it a thumbs up, but come on, people.
Yeah.
The X-Men fought the Blob first. They should know more than anyone.
I guess maybe the idea is that this was before they first fought the Blob, that they were taken from time, so he doesn't have that knowledge.
Yeah, but how early were they taken? Because didn't they fight Blob in, what was it, like issue 4 or something?
Yeah, oh yeah. No, Blob comes in real early, but it's... I gotta wonder if he like this was like, hey, we just put on these uniforms, and B says, hey, I'm from the future. Come with me. Yeah, because I had to get you before you were in any way corrupted. Yeah.
So you bring a team that basically fought Magneto and the Vanisher, and that's it. And it's like, okay, come to the future. All right, I guess I'll get to my last one on my own. I'd say this is probably my pick of the week. Power Man and Iron Fist #2.
Yay!
Did you glance at this at all, Charlie?
No, I didn't, because I skipped the first one. I looked at it and it says, I was too exhausted at that point. I wasn't gonna. I glanced at a couple of them. I debated it, but no, I didn't even glance at Power Man because I might have gotten pulled in.
Mm-hmm. But starts off with Tombstone putting out he's basically putting out a reward for Power Man and Iron Fist, a bounty on their heads. He wants his the necklace they stole from him back. This because it had the Super Soul Stone. But
I really hate that name, by the way, because it just sounds like a 1970s disco thing. I don't know. It's the Super Soul Stone.
But we just see everybody getting the call, like Tombstone's men and Ruby Tuesday and Angar the Screamer. I thought Angar was dead.
No one's dead anymore, Phil. You should know that by now.
Oh yeah, especially after Secret Wars. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice to see Ruby Tuesday getting work.
Yeah, and then they were showing like Rocket Racer and Hypno Hustler. I thought Rocket Racer reformed, but who knows?
Yeah. So yeah, and again, we're doing all these 1970s characters, So it's like.
Although we do see the Hood and Thunderball, so you're Illuminati guys too.
Oh, hey, good to see them getting work.
And then Black Mariah and Jenny get the call, but they're the ones who have the Super Soul Stone, so they're like, Black Mariah's like, we need to get out of here. But then meanwhile, Luke and Danny are having I guess breakfast. Yeah, breakfast. I assume it's breakfast at a diner. I mean, looks like Danny's eating pancakes, but could be any time of the day.
Exactly, man. That's the whole point of a diner is it's breakfast all day.
But Luke's like asking him, why are you wearing your mask? And Danny's like, I like wearing the mask. It feels good. You should try it. It's liberating. And Luke's like, yeah, but people are watching us and taking pictures all because you're wearing a mask at lunch. And
is he wearing the rest of the uniform or just the mask? Like, is he wearing? So he's fully decked out. So yeah.
Yeah. But he's telling Luke, we should all get back. We should get back together like the old days. Power Man and Iron Fist, heroes for hire. And Luke's like, no. And he's like, come on, bro. He's like, think of all the great times we had. And there's like flashbacks of them fighting the Constrictor and Sabretooth, or them teaming up with Misty and Colleen, and then them trashing some stuff. So then Danny's like, he's like, what else have you got going? He's like, there's like 12 Avengers teams, and you're not on any of them, so it's not like you're busy.
Oh, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah. Then Luke's like, that has nothing to do with it. He's like, I can go back to being an Avenger at any time. He's like, I led the Avengers. And Danny's like, are you ever going to get tired of bringing that up? But I guess Tombstone's goons, they're sitting in a car outside the diner. They found them, but they're like, oh, last time we got our butts handed to us. We really want to do that again. So I guess they wait because they see someone else going in. They say chumps who can do all the hard work. Meanwhile, Danny and Luke are still talking. Danny's like, it's because Jessica hates me, isn't it? And he's like, she doesn't hate you, man. I mean, you annoy the fiddle faddle out of her, but you do that with everyone. And then someone says, oh, the rumors are true. You two are back together. Because guess which two villains walked in the diner, Charlie?
Man Mountain. Oh, well, okay. Let's say we'll say Ruby Tuesday and the Constrictor. I don't know.
No, Black Tarantula and Gorilla Man.
Gorilla Man? Oh, wait.
Arthur
You mean the white
Gorilla
gorilla?
Man Negan.
Arthur Gorilla Man Negan.
Basically, he looks like he has a human head but a gorilla body.
Oh! He's one of the headmen. Yeah. So he's one of Ruby Tuesday's buds. And Black Tarantula?
Yeah.
They are so scraping the bottom of the barrel here.
Yeah, so they go through like the diner wall and they're fighting in the streets, so this, of course, it's Luke Cage versus Gorilla Man and Iron Fist versus Black Tarantula.
Okay, quick thing. Gorillas are very strong. They aren't Hulk level strength.
Yeah, I know.
It's like I'm a really strong guy. It's okay. There's only one Gorilla Man, and that's in Agents of Atlas. That's what I say. But okay.
And then guess who's watching the battle from a rooftop? It's Spider-Woman and Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Gwen's in this universe?
Does she go back and forth? I don't know.
She's in the Web Warriors. They're always transversing dimensions. I thought she also had her own universe, too, that she was constantly popping into.
But I don't know what the story is, but I know there's some kind of big Spider-Woman event coming up where like all the female Spider heroes are doing something. I don't know what's going on though.
Okay.
But they're watching from the roof, and Jessica Drew's like, oh, they're back together, and Gwen's like, who? And she's like, Power Man and Iron Fist, and Gwen's like, wait, I thought Power Man was the one dating White Tiger, and she goes, no, that's the other Power Man.
Yeah, because he's just Luke Cage now, not Power Man.
And Jessica's all like, oh wait, here it comes. Maybe we'll see their shirts get ripped off or something.
Yeah.
And Gwen's like, oh, there's
supposed to be superheroes. Shouldn't they be superheroing?
You would think, but Jessica just seems the one to see them lose their shirts. But
yeah, suddenly it's a Coke commercial. I know.
But Gwen's like, oh, there's more than one Power Man. She goes, oh, there's more than one Hawkeye. I guess that makes sense. And she goes, is there more than one Iron Face? And Jessica's like, Iron Fist. And Gwen's like, Iron Face sounds cooler than Iron Fist.
Yeah, except then it had to hit his head against things. So logistically, it's not as good.
No. And then Gwen's all like, well, what does Iron Face look without his mask? And Jessica's like, with a body like that, who cares? So they take down, Power Man and Iron Fist take down the villains. And I guess they figure out they gotta get to that Super Soul Stone since everyone thinks they have it and they're gunning for them.
You gotta pronounce it properly. It's the Super Soul Stone.
Well, Iron Fist at first thought they were saying fillet of soul, but Luke's like, no, not fillet of soul, the Super Soul. And then Tombstone's yelling at his guys over the phone, but Power Man and Iron Fist get into some small little compact car because I guess Jessica wouldn't let Luke take the big car, so she don't want it getting wrecked. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just... I'm sure it's great when you're reading it. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I don't think I'm doing this justice, but... I
mean, it seems like it's kind of like fun and light and wacky. I guess I just... I get maybe because I'm not the biggest Power Man and Iron Fist fans, I don't quite know how to take them. I don't know what exactly their back and forth should be. So I don't know if this is like classic Power Man and Iron Fist, or if this is like, this is just Howard the Duck with two guys. I don't know exactly where it's supposed to be. So
I could see a lot of people, like, if you're not a big fan, I would say maybe even just wait for the trade and read it all. This is one of those stories I think it would be a lot better when you read it all at once.
Yeah.
But I still give it a thumbs up.
Okay, well, great. Thumbs up.
All right, well, that's it, except for our two shared books.
Okay, you want to do it international, or you want to do Ant-Man first?
Let's do international.
Oh, okay. You want to give the descriptor on international, or?
Why don't you do it? You only had one other book.
Okay, so we're gonna open up international Iron Man. He's Yes, Sophie. He's in Sofia, Bulgaria now. He's surrounded by five guys and some kind of hyped up Redeemer armors with Gatling gun hands. They have Tony on the ground. They're talking like, is he dead? It says, I'm not getting any life sentences. He's Iron Man. If you only get life signs if he wanted you to have life signs. It says, well, what's he doing? I don't know. Maybe he is dead. Then we do a flashback to Tony it was 20 years ago, University of Cambridge, and there's a party going on because a soccer game was won, and there's two girls behind a velvet rope because I guess soccer pubs have velvet VIP rooms where two girls sit. Sure, we'll go along with it. Anyway, yeah. Tony goes to talk to the girls. Teenage wackiness ensues. Turns out she's a fellow rich person, descendant of arms merchants, yada, yada, yada. They should be bestest friendses. Her bodyguards come along. They tase Tony. He does not say don't tase me, bro, though he was saying he didn't want to get tased. They're in the class on economics. Cassandra Gillespie is the girl's name, by the way. I have no idea if she has her existence prior to this in Marvel Comics. I'm guessing maybe she does not. One of the bodyguards says to Tony, sorry I tased you, bro. Don't have your dad kill me. I didn't know Howard Stark was in the business of having people killed, but why not? They meet, they chat. They're like, oh, we're from so similar worlds, and yet, yada, yada, yada. Let's go have dinner with my parents. Tony has a couple patents, so he is his own man. He doesn't rely on his dad, who's very distant, yada, yada, yada. Hydra comes up, shoots up Cassandra's family. Tony picks up a gun, shoots a Hydra guy. People get shot. Day is saved. And Tony gets shot too, but obviously he... or maybe he's... I don't know. I can't quite tell if he got shot or if that's just a cut. No, yeah, he got shot. But then we cut to black and cut to Tony Stark waking up, and there is Cassandra with an eye patch because sure, because it looks cool. It's like a fence. Fezzes are cool. Eye patches are cool. Bow ties are cool. And she's sitting on top of Tony, and they're like, Tony says, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to fight you, Cassandra. It's like the big reveal because, he was talking to Cassandra back in the day. Says, good, I don't want to fight you either, Tony, but hell if I'm going to let you stand between me and what I have coming, and hell if I'm going to do it again. And Tony, my darling, fighting me isn't going to get you any closer to finding out who your real father is. That I can promise you. Dun, dun, dun. So odds. Real father, Nathaniel Richards or Dr. Doom time traveling?
I don't know. I was thinking about this. Do you think, is it going to be a whole new character, but he's probably going to be like shady or evil or something?
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking it's like this. Nathaniel Richards, you have a connection with Howard Stark as they were both agents of the Brotherhood of the Shield.
Mm-hmm.
But time-traveling Dr. Doom explains why now face-fixed Dr. Doom is all like, hey, Tony, maybe we can be pals. Would you like to play catch, Tony? I'm just saying. Let's play catch.
Or it's even Doom, so I could see Doom saying, oh, yeah, you know what, I see you're a nice guy. I decided you needed a super awesome dad, so I went back and impregnated your mother. Or something stupid like that.
That makes sense. Yeah,
that would be Doom.
And I'm giving it short shrift, but we have been on for a while, and there's not much to this book. You have Mary Jane on the cover. She's not in the book. You have what I thought was supposed to be Maria Hill on the cover. She's not in the book. So it's an interest. It sets up something, and I want to see where it goes. But as an individual book, you don't get much aside from this, setup of, hey, there's a secret long lost love from my past, and here she is now. What are the odds she would just show up in this moment at this point and never be mentioned at any point prior to this second?
You see, I think this is the way Bendis writes. I mean, I love his stuff. The X-Men, the Avengers, the Moon Knight, his Daredevil. I like some of my favorite Daredevil, but he goes for the slow burn. We got the flashback this issue. It's mostly flashback. I don't know if he writes for the with the trade paperbacks in mind, but yeah, it's always a slow build up with him.
Well, I think with me, like I said, what if there's anything that bugs me the most, it's just this idea of, here's this hitherto never mentioned, super important backstory,
Yeah.
And they do that. They did that with Reed Richards a couple of times, but at least with Reed Richards, they kind of made it clear when they introduced Mrs. Fantastic, who was this other woman who was like Reed's own age, who he had hung out with before he met Sue, and they were doing their own thing. They kind of made it seem a little more practical when they did that. I guess in my mind, because it was clearly that she and Reed just never really meshed. Whereas this, it seems like they're setting up something where there was going to be this, Of course, maybe I'm just reading too much because we've only seen them have one date, I mean, really. So maybe it was like one date, and then when they never spoke again, and that's why she never got mentioned.
Yeah, but doesn't it just seem like, it's like a generic character? Like, you easily could have put Whitney Frost in here or something.
Well, yeah, that's what at first I thought it was. Oh, they're going to do like a Whitney Frost thing here. This is where they first met. And that, to me, that would have been interesting.
Yeah, so
this is a backstory for Whitney Frost that maybe we haven't gotten yet.
Yeah, and since he's doing Whitney Frost in the other Iron Man book right now, that would make sense. That would make sense.
No, it would make total sense, but this is a book that don't always have to make sense. I'm mean to DC all the time because I don't read them, and so I only get the evidence of the worst. But I'll be honest with you, Marvel's not really that much better when it comes to just randomized things. I was talking to Lilith in our Marvelous review about how DC seem to all have those evil names, but this is Marvel Comics is the company that gave us both Doctor Doom and Mr. Sinister.
Yeah.
Although, and I'll say this right now, the original origin of Mr. Sinister was supposed to be that he was an imaginary friend of a super powerful mutant kid. And he was called Mr. Sinister because it was a stupid name that a kid would come up with. But the writer who first created Mr. Sinister left the book before he could do that, and then the guys who came after him made the whole backstory of Mr. Sinister. But his original origin, according to what is said, when the guy who invented him says, no, I was going to have, because it was like the first time you saw Mr. Sinister, there was always like a little super powerful mutant kid around. And the idea was supposed to be he was just a creation of the super powerful mutant kid. And if I ever get to write Marvel Comics in that, and they ever give me that, I'm going to make that the original origin retroactively active by making him, he just manipulated the timeline, and so his entire backstory became what it was, but he's still Mr. Sinister because he's just a little kid's idea of what a boogeyman would be. So that's that. Okay. Do you want to do Ant-Man? Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the only one I have left.
Yeah, well, yeah. Oh, no, did you have
Charlie's?
Yeah.
No, I was going to say, so thumbs up for Iron Man?
Oh, yeah, I liked it. It's not a bad book. I highly recommend you pick it up. If you're an Iron Man fan and you want to... Here's what I'll say. Here's what I'm going to say. You don't have to pick it up, because I'm sure by issue 2 or 3... This is something I'm finding. Like, every so often, it's good to pick up a book on issue 3. Because at issue 3 is when you get the information you didn't get in 1 and 2, and it's like sometimes it's as easy to pick up a book at 3 as it is to pick up a book at 1. So we got some neat story here.
I was gonna say
sorry.
No, I was gonna say I just concur with Iron Man. It's just you know, if you don't care about the flashback, yeah, just pick up 2 or 3.
Yeah, because like by 3, we're gonna be like, oh, this is so awesome. So anyway, so I actually picked up Ant-Man this week, Ant-Man number 6, and you know why? Because Marvel listens. I've been sitting here ragging on Ant-Man about how bad it is, how awful it is, and you know what? They listened and they got rid of the one thing that didn't work about Ant-Man. And what's the one thing that doesn't work about Ant-Man, Phil?
Ant-Man?
Yes.
Scott Lang?
Yeah, Scott Lang. He doesn't work in the book. Although, and this is what I'll say, this actually, like, did a lot to, like, okay, all that stupid stuff. In this book, we kind of redeem it. We kind of like, oh, okay, so that's what that was. That was. We still don't understand why Scott Lang is working with Machine Smith, because Machine Smith is an evil, evil man.
Mm-hmm.
And they like just so hand wave. Oh, he plays golf with Arnim Zola. Arnim Zola the Nazi? You know? It's like, you know, Nazis are like the ultimate evil, right? We haven't forgotten that Nazis are bad, right? It's not like Nazis are like, you know, it's like, if you, as an example, you can hang out with Mountain Marco, or maybe even Crusher Krell, and say, you know, they're just criminals and, you know, bad breeding and, you know, bad life, and they made their bad choices and they kind of get themselves in this cycle of bad choices. If you're a Nazi, it's not a one-time bad choice. It's literally 60 years of bad choices to do the ultimate evil, you know? So, no, being friends with Machine Smith isn't the same as being friends with Man Mountain Marco or Grizzly, you know? And that's another is like Grizzly, he's like a working class villain. It's like Rhino is a working class villain. Man Mountain Marco is a working class villain. They're not masterminds being all evil for evil's sake and to one day rule the world. It's, you know, anyway. I'm off subject though. So we open up and Cassie Lang, she's in an office waiting to meet, and was what? It was Power Broker. Yeah, that wasn't telegraphed the whole time. But yes. So she's meeting with new Purple Power Broker. Are we gonna get an origin for him at any point? Anyway, so she gives her basic story. They make a great point here, which I really like, about well, and it's interesting because they do one thing and then they undo it a little bit later. Was, you know, they actually used, which was an argument used in God Loves Man Kills, when Kitty beats up on some bullies, where someone points, you know, with your training, you could have easily killed those kids. And Cassie's, because basically these bullies at her school are picking on her, and Cassie gets into the fight, and her mom says, hey, you know, you've been trained by Captain America. You could have killed these kids. Which is actually true, but they then undo it later because they actually say, well, anyway, so she meets with Kate Bishop, and, you know, because and here's the thing, are Kate Bishop's parents dead? Or are they not dead?
I don't think so. I think she's just estranged from them.
Okay.
I think the father's like a crime lord or something, maybe.
Well, you had mentioned, like, when we were chatting, that they were dead, and that's when that Hawkeye started training her after that. But either way,
no. That's what I was saying they should do in the MCU. No.
Okay, we're going to talk about that in Super Connectivity, because we got all sorts of thoughts about who should be the next Hawkeye. Okay. Anyway, so she finds out that Kate is lying to her. She's actually stalking out these Secret Empire guys. Yeah, I don't know. Cassie shows up. She gets herself promptly captured. And then Kate does the whole arrow thing, knocks him out. And then they're talking. And then basically what Cassie says is, yeah, I've been trained by these people, but all my moves were based on being, you know, super powered. And I don't have superpowers anymore. And I can get that idea. Although I do think that, I don't know, I got to think that maybe Cassie might have had a little better training than that. But then again, I don't know how much training the Young Avengers ever really had. if they really had training or if they were just kind of, we're going to be the Avengers now. And then, people let them, but there was never really any training. I don't, they may have had a couple training sessions, but when she had her powers, she used that.
Plus, she said in the beginning of the issue, she kind of died and kind of through a time thing with Doctor Doom, she got brought back to life. So, I mean, that could have taken a step out,
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's a whole other thing is how old are these young Avengers supposed to be? Because one minute they're all like, they seem to be like early, like late, like 18, 19, maybe even a couple 20-year-olds. But she seems almost like in junior high. So I don't even know where that goes. So anyway, so she's having this conversation with Power Broker, and Power Broker is like, so it's clear to us that you used to be a hero. Could be that you're just getting these powers to turncoat on us. And she's like, what? Me? No. But obviously, yes. And then Power Broker says, oh, no, that's cool. We're very big on the honor system. And then basically goes into the whole thing about David Cross. And this is what I like about this is Power Broker, as it turns out, not a moron. It's like, yeah, we pretty much figured when you showed up, you were a superhero who were going to use us to get your powers back and then use those powers against us. But let me give you something else that's useful. And they actually make this point that when Grizzly and Machine Smith hacked David Cross's stuff, they actually were doing something that actually was kind of not bad. They were working for Power Broker, but they weren't doing something evil. They were actually just getting this data for this other villain, but against a villain. So it was like, as Deadpool would say, it's all zero. It's like, yeah, we're defending drug dealers, but against other drug dealers. So it's a net, it's a net zero. So that was cool. I still don't trust Machine Smith. I don't, like I said, I don't even know what they're doing with Machine Smith. Here's what I'm going to say. I think you have a better argument with what they're doing with Faustus in Ms. Marvel to being kind of a joke villain than what they're doing to Machine Smith. Because Machine Smith, I guess I just don't feel with him being the joke villain in this way. Anyway, so here's the big reveal. They give the specs for the costume and the stuff. They get the pin particles. He says, it was real hard to get the pin particles, which is kind of odd since given it seems like nearly every costume hero or criminal has had them at some point. Just hanging in the lampshade right out of there. These are real hard to get. I don't know why, though, because everyone seems to come into contact with them at some point. And at some point, your body just keeps on producing new pin particles. Because, but we get that she has all the specifications for her new costume, and her new costume is
fans of the MC2 will recognize Stinger.
Yes, Stinger. Oh, adult Cassie Lang was so cool. And I used to write to Marvel. You say, "Hey, will we ever have a cross-dimensional thing where Stinger gets to meet Stature? Wouldn't that be awesome for Stinger to meet Stature?" Yada yada yada. And this time we actually get a real origin for Stinger as to why she stopped being Stature, started being Stinger. And it's pretty cool. And also, not for nothing, explains why Stinger has a purple costume. Because, as you may remember...
Power Broker?
What?
Because of the Power Broker?
Well, yeah, exactly because of the Power Broker. Because villains wear secondary colors, heroes wear primary colors. Because she's getting her costume from a villain, she wears purple, which is the most heroic of the villain colors. That's why Hawkeye wears it, because Hawkeye is a villain. He starts as a villain, wore green and purple, but then he comes to be a hero, but he keeps the purple to remind you that he used to be a villain. But generally speaking, if you have purple, you either are a villain or you start as a villain. Name me one villain who doesn't wear a secondary color. Yeah. Now, name.
Well, it's kind of hard now. Half of them wear 3-piece suits anymore.
Yeah. Well, there you go. But now, name me a hero who wears a secondary color.
Oh, no, I'm forgetting somebody. But now I can't think of one.
Yeah. And if you do come up with one, it's a guy who does a lot of villain stuff. It's the Hulk, or it's Hawkeye, or it's now we know Stinger. So there we go. And this was, and I'm going to say this was my Marvel pick of the week, not my overall pick of the week. To find out what my overall pick of the week is, you've got to listen to World's Finest Marvelous Review, assuming those ever get posted. But yes, but I really enjoyed this book. I'm actually going to get the next Ant-Man. They got me back reading Ant-Man, so that should tell you how good this book was. If you're a listener of this show, you know how much I disliked what they did with Ant-Man. And now, and they were doing so many things to say, hey, Charlie, here's something you'd like. And it's like, yeah, that's something I'd like, but I don't like what you're doing with it, so stop. But here they did something I like. They got rid of Ant-Man, which of course is good. And here's my hope that maybe as they go forward with this, it becomes the Stinger book. I'd love to read the Stinger book. That might be good. But yeah, very good book. I'm going to write them a letter, actually, basically saying this. Thank you for listening to me and getting rid of the one thing that didn't work about the Ant-Man book. Ant-Man. And I'll bet you that gets published because they just put a letters page in this. But
I just saw that, yeah.
But they always do have the one guy who's like, you guys aren't so good thing. And they either rag on you or they say, well, we think you're going to like what we do next. So I bet you I get published when I write that letter. I'm going to write it tomorrow.
There you go.
I love Stinger, and I'd love to see her grow as a character,
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, and not for nothing, for what it's worth, the whole villains were secondary colors trope that was first pointed out in FF, where Scott Lang had some of his best work. So, there's good to be had here. There's good to be had. And that's it, Phil.
All right.
With a special 2-hour all new, all different Marvel Roundup. No, not quite, because we had about 20 minutes of me ranting about Sinestro.
All right, everyone. Share your thoughts on what you heard tonight, and you heard a lot. Marvel Roundup at gmail.com. On Facebook, we're All New Marvel Roundup. Twitter at Marvel_Roundup. And check out our new Instagram account that we share with World's Finest, World's Finest Roundup. And if you want to, of course, if you want to talk anything Marvel or DC with me, especially the new Daredevil Season 2, which is awesome, you can email me, nightwingpdp@gmail.com. On Twitter, I'm at nightwingpdp, where you can find me live tweeting most of the DC shows during.
Tweet along with me from Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., The Incredible Hulk on MeTV, 7 o'clock Eastern Time on Saturday, or any of the other shows that I occasionally live tweet on in a very sporadic basis. You can do so. Follow me at Charlie Esser, that's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle for quality. And if you want to write to me in that old-fashioned email way, as our maws and paws did many years ago, you can do that at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. All one word.
All right. Well, is that it?
That's all I got, my friend.
All right. All right, everyone. Come back next week. I think it's going to be a smaller week. A little smaller week, but thank goodness for those 5 Wednesday months. But just remember, Marvel, you've been put on notice. Charlie Esser, not a fan of that. He's stung the Ant-Man. He's a fan of Cassie. Good night, everyone.
Good night.